Leadership Styles, Knowing Yours and How and When to Use It. A Lions University course brought to you by the USA-Canada Lions Leadership Forum. My name is Lion Budwall, and I'd like to welcome you to this evening's webinar and remind you that we are recording this session for those who cannot participate live tonight, or for anyone wishing to review the material at a later time. And once we begin, you may be asked to respond to a question, or you may have a question yourself, and this can be handled either by typing in your question in the questions pane in the panel along the right side of your screen, or by raising your hand or clicking on your hand so you can be unmuted, giving you the opportunity to share verbally, with the entire group. Leadership Styles is course 203, a required course for the Lions University Master's Program that is designed to help Lions lead at the district level. The Master's Program involves the completion of 10 required courses and at least 5 elective courses. All of the Master's level courses are shown on the screen before you. On the left side you see the list of required courses, and on the right side then you see all the electives that are possible. This screen is the Lions University website, lionsuniversity.org, and this slide shows what a typical course slide would include. On the right-hand column, you'll notice different pages within the website. For the particular sample course shown in this slide, 104 Effective Club Meetings, since it is a bachelor level course, you would click on the bachelor's program on the pages heading. And when you do that, the bachelor's page would appear, giving you a complete list of all the bachelor level courses. You would then click on the 104 Effective Club Meetings, and the slide that you see on your screen now would come up, giving you all the details for that particular course, along with any course handouts and a link to the quiz. So likewise, if you click on the Master's Program page, all the master level courses would come up, and you would then click on whatever course you are interested in and then register for that course. We even have a calendar page you can click on to see what courses are scheduled in the coming weeks and months. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our faculty member for this evening, Lion Jama Wall, who just happens to be my better half. She brings a great deal of leadership experience to Lions University in that during her 2 years as club president in her club, the first year she received the only 5-star rating for her district during her first term. And during her second term as club president, she received the District Leadership Award for smaller clubs. She's currently the GLT coordinator for District 1BK and Multiple District 1, and she's responsible for the training of all the multiple District 1 district governor-elects. She also serves as the 1C area GLT leader for this year, encompassing 4 states. She's been involved in presentations, international conventions, the USA-Canada Forum, as well as other leadership events. And this year she's going to be a member of the Faculty Development Institute faculty. We're indeed fortunate to have Jama as a faculty member, and with that, Jama, you can take it on from here.
I want to thank Bud for introducing me, and also Wendy Kane, who's in the background providing support for us to do this evening. And I want to thank each of you for joining the webinar. Your commitment to enhance your leadership skills and increase your knowledge by participating in the Lions University. And when these new skills and knowledge are shared with other Lions, our clubs and our districts will become so much stronger and will ultimately lead to more service to our communities. And isn't that why we all became Lions, to serve? So that segues right into our topic tonight, which is leadership styles and our objectives. In this webinar, we're going to identify leadership styles, consider when to use each style, identify behaviors related to strong leadership, and apply a leadership style to a given situation. So let's get started. I'm going to talk at you for a while, and then I'm going to ask you for an opportunity to provide some input, so I hope that you'll consider doing that. We'll start with autocratic leaders. Autocratic leaders make decisions. Little input is taken from others, and it is kind of a my way or the highway attitude. This type of leadership is used when a task is very complex. The consequences for failure are great, and the group is inexperienced. Time is limited or in the midst of a crisis. As an example, when I was a school principal and my school flooded, I was very autocratic. Those decisions had to be made very quickly and very clearly for people's safety. The second type of leadership, and this comes from Blanchard and Hershey, that we'll talk about this evening, is coaching leadership. Coaches are very directive in their behavior, but also have a very high regard for support of the follower. They're interested in completing a task. Coaching leaders define roles and tasks, but seek ideas and suggestions from the followers. Decisions, however, are made by the leader, but there is a two-way communication. And if you think of this, it's very much like a sporting team. The coach listens to his players, but also the bulk of the responsibility lies on that coach. Delegating responsibility or leadership. The task is accomplished, but the delegating leader is not likely to have had any direct activity in accomplishing the task. The delegating leader is involved in decisions and problem solving, but control is with the follower. The follower decides when and how the leader will be involved. An example of delegating from our own Lions experience might be that first vice district governor or second vice district governor who is delegated a responsibility by the district governor. Now let's take a look at democratic leadership. This type of leadership is used when a task is very important. Something is complex. The group has some experience, and the consequences for failure are significant, yet not severe. There's a reasonable amount of time to accomplish the task. The leader allows for all the participants in making the decisions, or minimally providing input into the decision-making process. And again, I'll go back to my example of my school flooding. When we were able to start school again, we were in gymnasiums and church buildings, and I had to have the support of my staff to make some decisions in terms of for over a year. So those frequent staff meetings were very, very important. A directing leader is not interested in supporting colleagues. The focus is on complete roles, and tasks. They supervise by the leader, and the communication is one way, top down. In many ways, directing leadership is very similar to autocratic leadership. Permissive leadership is used when a task is not difficult. The group has plenty of experience leading the group. An example for this from our upper that everybody's been doing their jobs to make sure that everybody continues to do their jobs. And take a look at support off unless support is needed. A task is accomplished by the group, but little direct effort is made by the supportive leader. The supportive to the control.
Excuse me, Java.
I've just been told I'm cutting in and out, so where do I need to go back to?
Probably just the slide before, but are you doing anything differently with your microphone?
No, I haven't done anything with my microphone.
Okay, it started out clear, and then it just in the last couple of slides is where it was the volume, it would like cut completely out. It didn't just go down.
Okay, now you just went out for me too, so where should I go back to?
let's see, I think I'm looking at your list, supporting the democratic leadership is where I noticed it start.
All right, well, we'll go back to that slide to democratic leaders. This type of leadership is used when a task is important, somewhat complex, yet the group does have some experience, yet not severe, with a reasonable amount of time to complete the task. All right, I'm going to go to a new computer.
Okay, if y'all stay with us just a moment, and Bud was coming through clearly, so that may be another option as well.
Technology doesn't always work, and sometimes in the Wall household it doesn't. All right,
We
so
can hear you.
democratic leadership.
We can hear you great.
I can hear you. Can hear me now?
Yes.
All right. This type of leadership is democratic, is used when a task is important, somewhat complex, and the group has some experience. The consequences for failure are significant yet not severe, and there's a reasonable amount of time to complete the task. The leader allows for all participants in making the decision, or minimally providing input into the decision-making process. My example for this, my first example was when my school flooded. Following the flood, we had to negotiate classes in gymnasiums and various churches and different places in the community. And we needed to, I needed input from my staff. I needed their input. It had to be democratic. I would give them ideas. Ultimately, the responsibility lay with me to make the decision, but they needed to be a part of that process. Directing leadership, according to Blanchard and Hershey. The directing leader is not interested in supporting colleagues. The focus is very clear on completing the task. Directing leaders define goals, roles, and tasks. They supervise the follower closely. Decisions are made by the leader. Communication is one way, top down. And in many respects, it's very similar to autocratic leadership. Permissive leadership is used when a task is not difficult. The group has plenty of experience and time is not limited. The leader is not really leading the group as much as being a participant. And the example that I shared with that would be the Lions Club who does their pancake supper, and everybody knows, or pancake breakfast, and everybody knows their jobs and responsibilities, and the committee chair just has to sort of make sure that everything gets done. Next, we'll move to supporting leadership. The supportive leader is hands-off unless support is needed. A task is accomplished by the group, but little direct effort is made by the supportive leader. The supportive leader does make some decisions, but it's more likely to facilitate the situation to allow others to make the decision. The control is with the follower. And the last style we'll look at tonight is the servant leadership, according to Greenleaf. Servant leadership is considered a leadership style, but actually is more of a philosophy. A servant leader makes sure that other people's highest priority needs are being met. The servant leader focuses on the growth and well-being of people and communities. The servant leader shares power, puts the needs of others first, and helps people develop and perform at the highest level. Now let's consider which style is best. No style can be used in all situations. Each has its advantages and disadvantages. And the key is that a strong leader knows and understands leadership styles and leadership principles. The leader makes a decision to use the most appropriate style for a given situation. Now I need your help. Would any of you like to share an example of one of the leadership styles? And if you're using a name, please use just first names only. Anybody have an idea to share?
Either raise your...
You can raise your hand or you can type your comment into the box.
Right now I don't see any coming into the box. I'm looking to see if I have any hands raised. I don't see any being raised. Wendy, do you see any hands raised at all on your panel?
Not
Well, that's
yet.
okay.
Leanne just posted a response in the questions pane that the coaching style is working best in her Lions Club at this point.
Okay, so let's talk about what a coaching style might look like in a Lions Club. You have people moving up the chairs to become an officer, but they haven't a lot of Lions experience. Maybe they've just been named to the board. And so in a coaching situation, it's very much like mentoring. Somebody takes that person under his or her wing and helps them out to learn what they need to learn to take on a new responsibility, whether that's a committee chairperson or moving up to be an officer of some sort. Anybody else have anything we need to share? Okay, well then let's go on. Let's talk about some principles.
They're starting.
Oh, okay.
They're starting to roll in. If you have a couple minutes, Lion Gary shared that permissive style is working well in his club for fundraisers, and actually another Lion Hillary shared that permissive fits their fair food booth initiative. It's easy to chair, and every club member knows what needs to be done at each of the stations. So a couple comments there relative to permissive style.
I appreciate that you're sharing that, because as club leaders we need to be able to, or district leaders, we need to be able to know what works and identify what works. So if you're doing a fundraiser and you know that style helps people be successful, then we need to go ahead and use that. Let's go ahead now and take a look at principles of good leaders and develop and what kinds of behaviors we have to have. So a good leader needs to be a decision maker. I think we did that one. Okay, leaders need to be a decision maker. There's nothing more frustrating than working with someone who can't make a decision. Progress occurs when decisions are made. Sometimes a poor decision is made, but something can always be learned. We need to use all of the data available to make the best decision possible and move forward. The next thing that a good leader needs to be is a gracious recipient of praise and open to constructive criticism. A good leader needs to take criticism and sort it into valuable and not so valuable. They need to accept praise, and they need to pass that praise on to those who helped get things done. I can remember an experience in my professional life where I did a lot of the work and somebody else took the credit. And that was kind of a rude awakening for me. That had never happened before. And that was really disappointing as a person who had done the work. So when I became that leader person, I tried to make sure that you gave those pat on the backs that people needed. A good leader needs to have knowledge of those who look to you for leadership. Some people need more encouragement than others. As a leader, you need to know who those people are and provide, as I said, that pat on the back, that congratulatory comment. You need to know if people accept praise publicly or if they like it more in the form of a note or something a little more private. As the leader, you need to know those who are following you. A leader needs to be responsible. Plan, plan, plan. A leader needs to know what needs to be done, get it done, and celebrate that it was accomplished. If something is started, see that it gets finished. Those goals that district governors set as incoming governors, work on those so that they get finished. Those tasks are accomplished each quarter, and then at the end of that year of leadership, you can celebrate. Leaders need to be enthusiastic, be positive, earn the respect of others, praise publicly, and offer constructive criticism privately. A leader needs to be aware of the mission. Be sure that what is happening at the club or district level dovetails with the mission of Lions Clubs International. We are the largest, most active service club in the world. And what we do in our clubs or what we do as individual Lions has to agree with that Lions Club focus. Now, did I miss anything? Does anybody have anything that you'd like to share?
Wendy, if you could take care of handling any questions in the question pane or the hands coming up, because my screen is acting up again.
I will do that. Lion Hillary just shared empathy.
Empathy. Oh, that's a great one. Empathy, to give it a definition, will be understanding how others feel, being able to walk in someone else's shoes, being able to make sure that you know or understand the direction from when they're coming. And if I ever do this again, I will definitely add empathy. I think as a leader, we need to know how others are coming to us and have an understanding of that as well. Anybody else? Thank you for sharing that.
Yep, we've got a couple more. Lion Leanne shared nurturing. Lion Michael shared knowing your members is key. He had one hardworking lion who got very mad when he was given a public award or recognition, and instead of, because he didn't want the attention to be called out. And so the public praise was something where you'd mentioned even the knowing your people and what their needs are for a leader. So a good example there of where, good intentions, if it doesn't meet the needs of your members, don't always work out as you intended. And Lion Dawn shared helping others become leaders, making others leaders from the group and helping that development.
Okay, so if okay, we're getting an echo here. Let me just summarize those that we just talked about. We talked about empathy, nurturing. Nurturing would be very similar to, I think, to the empathy or maybe to mentoring others, to helping them bring it together. Definitely knowing your members. I think of a similar situation to what was shared, that there was someone who was a very private person and almost was embarrassed to the point of not being able to accept an award because people hadn't paid attention to knowing that that person needed to have that pat on the back privately. And helping others lead, again, that mentoring idea. One of the biggest jobs that we have on the district level is to find Lions to take on those leadership roles when we're done doing whatever job it is we're doing. And so when you're moving up from a first vice district governor to a second vice district governor, we need to have that person coming in behind us so that we know that we have that strong leadership. So that's very, very, very important.
Jamie, I had one that I wanted to...
Anybody else?
There were no other ones that have come through on the questions pane, and let's see, I don't see any other hand, oh, Nancy, Lion Nancy has raised her hand, so we're going to see if we can do okay with the volume, and I'm going to unmute you now, Nancy.
Hi, I'd like to say that you need to have good time management skills.
All right, that would make sense too. One of the things that we do talk about to the district governors coming in is being able to manage their time. And with all the electronic tools that we have, that works for some people. Other people need the calendar that might be on the refrigerator. But whatever works for you, you need to use so that you recognize that there's only 24 hours in a day. Everybody has to eat a little bit and sleep a little bit, and most of us have some kind of job, or if we're retired, we have other work that we do. But we need to be able to manage that time for our volunteer life so that we have our personal life as well. And so time management. I think there's actually probably a class here related to time management in Lions University, or definitely in the Lions Learning Center about time management, if that's something that you feel you'd like to improve.
Yep, there is a Lions in the Leadership Center of LCI or Lions Learning Center, a time management course. So that in organization, let's see, Lion Hillary shared handling conflicts that arise, and we do have a conflict resolution course as part of the bachelor's program, as well as it's integrated in quite a few of the other courses here on Lions University.
Right, and I would suggest to you that that's also something that sometimes we see these topics discussed at maybe a leadership forum at a district level or possibly even a multiple district level. So these are any opportunities that Lions have to pick to attend these classes or pick up these skills. It's really important. And you know, solving conflicts is probably one of the best skills you'll have, not only personally but you know, professionally or in your volunteer life, because people want, you know, if you can leave a situation with people feeling like they've won and there's, you know, it's a win-win, that's the best.
Lion Dawn shares another great characteristic, and that is being kind of introspective and assessing what didn't work and why and what changes to make going forward, and just, you know, taking that time for reflection that I think a lot of us, as we get really busy, don't tend to maybe devote as much focus to. That
reflective piece, we just keep doing what we need to do and we keep on moving. But I think the idea of maybe when you're done with a project to take that time to evaluate it, to make sure that it's you know, would you have done it differently or could you have done it differently? That's an important piece. And so taking that reflective time, and it's very hard when we're busy to try to do that. So what about some scenario? Anybody else? Are we ready to move to a couple scenarios? Okay, let's try that. Your district needs a new fundraiser. Several ideas were suggested at a recent cabinet meeting. The district governor, who is a member of your club, appointed you to chair a committee to develop the new fundraiser. The committee members include 2 well-respected past district governors, the second vice district governor, and 2 dome chairs. You've only served as a club president, but would someday like to serve in the cabinet. During your year as club president, the club held a new fundraiser that was very successful. So that's the scenario. Here's your question. What style of leadership could be used to address the situation, and what can the leader do? So share your thoughts. You can either raise your hand or you can type it on the question page.
We'll give a couple of moments to type if you'd like to type, and I'm scanning the list of attendees. If you would like to raise your hand, again, that's the little hand that's on the left column of your control panel, and we will unmute you.
We want to thank Wendy for rescuing us tonight with our tech problems.
We've got it under control. So, Lion James, the district governor has not identified yet the new fundraiser, so that's part of the scenario, right?
Right. Part of the scenario is finding a fundraiser.
Okay.
And maybe coming up with some plans. If you're that new, or if you're the club president who's been named to chair this committee, what kinds of things could you do?
So, Lion, a couple of inputs are starting to come in. Lion Leanne shared supporting leadership would be the style she would use, and it lets the participants know that they're not alone and supported by that club in trying to coordinate this event. Lion Myrna shares that they would need to have input from the rest of the committee members, so as part of that factoring into the leadership style.
Okay, so taking those 2 together, you might do some democratic leadership in terms of getting input from others, getting some ideas from both those past district governors and the 2 zone chairs and the second vice district governor, to kind of get some ideas of their experience, what they might have done, what they have seen as successful things maybe in the past, that, you know, you could take an old idea and tweak it a little bit to get a new idea.
Lion John has raised his hand. I'm going to unmute you here in a moment, John.
It may be necessary to use more than one of these leadership styles in such
Good, good. So a combination. A good leader knows when to use them or when to try them. And a lot of it is trial and error. Sometimes you'll use a style and then you'll go back and be reflective about it, as we just talked about, and realize maybe you should approach that bit just a little bit differently.
And that may be a good distinction of one style that you would use. Thank you, John. I'm going to go ahead and meet you. Thanks for sharing that and calling that to our attention. You might use one style to identify what fundraiser and decide on the fundraiser. Maybe that's more democratic. And then you would maybe move into other types of styles once you get down into implementing. Lion Ajit shared a supporting leadership style is what he would suggest, and Lion Keith shared as well. Lion Keith shared a democratic style in this scenario, and Lion Gary would probably combine the democratic and supportive styles.
All right, and I think combining them makes sense. In this situation, you have leaders who are pretty experienced. They're probably been in decision-making situations themselves. You can rely on their experience. You can also support them in their tasks, but show your leadership abilities to this group of leaders, and maybe work up into that situation where you are hoping to serve on the cabinet. And again, you don't do those things to make a move for yourself, but you do want your project to be positive and to look good, and you want people to feel that they've been a part of something that's been worthwhile. Anybody else have anything to share on that scenario? Okay, so let's take a look at the next one. You're a new zone chair. There is a club in your district that's been struggling for several years. Many good ideas are lost because people just don't get along. As I heard before, there's that conflict. There's one lion who's been president for several years, and this lion frequently says, "This is the way we've always done it," which causes tempers to fly. One of the goals of the district governor is to get this club back on track. You're that new zone chair. What could you do to address these concerns? And what style of leadership and what can that leader do to make things work? Anybody have any thoughts?
Okay, you can raise your hand if you'd like to speak live.
You can raise your hand, or you can, about the same time Wendy did. You can raise your hand, or she can unmute you if you'd like to share an idea here.
Or just we'll be patient a moment to give time for typing. I think as we're waiting, one of the things that I would do is kind of go in with the servant leader philosophy that you talked about at the tail end of your combinations, or of the different types, and maybe more of a supportive role or supporting to help see what they think they need.
Well, and I think that if you talk to experienced lions who have gone in to try to help clubs or zones, that this is a very, very difficult situation. It's not something that a new zone chair is going to relish, but at the same time it's something that needs to be addressed. And I think going in as a servant leader to say, okay, something seems to not be working here. What can we do? And I'll give a commercial for some LCI tools that are there. In that the community, can't think of it now. There's a club health assessment that you can do, and it identifies what some of the concerns are in your club, and that's a tool that you could use. But I think before you get to that, you'd have to develop that relationship or build some diplomacy within the club.
You're talking about the how are your ratings?
How are your ratings? That's the word I'm looking for. Anybody else have any thoughts on the zone share, how he or she might address this problem?
We have a couple coming in on the questions pane, but I'm going to unmute Lion Nancy has raised her hand.
Okay, Nancy, thank you.
Hi, I think one thing that the zone chair should do is go to some of the club functions of the clubs in that zone chair's area and see how the other clubs work and compare them to the club that has the problem. And they'll probably find out that it's the leadership of the club has not changed in so long that they've grown stagnant, and they're not used to having the newer members become used to having a say in how their club runs. And once they can show the members of that club that there are different ways of doing things and they're not losing out on being lions, they're helping the other ones grow, I think it would work out much better for that zone chair.
Okay, so the zone chair might go in with really not necessarily an agenda. I don't think you can do that. I would agree with you that you make connections with the other clubs, and then share, maybe pull some of the unhappy lions into another situation where they might feel stronger or able to address that. That's a good idea. Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, Nancy.
Anybody else?
Yeah, we have a Lion. Kathy has raised her hand. Hang on just a moment. And we got a couple hands raised, and then we'll get to Lion John after that.
I actually had this happen when I was a zone chair.
Okay, go ahead.
It was a smaller club, and they were really struggling, and they'd had the same leaders and everything, and they had a huge project coming up, and they didn't have enough people willing to help. So we had the other clubs in the zone come in and help them for that event till they had time to reorganize, and then we did the CEP so people could process their concerns anonymously and no feelings would be hurt, and then we had an outside person review these, and then we went back to the club and worked through the process of getting new leadership.
So it sounds to me like you used several styles. You were supportive in that you went in and you found out what the need and the concern was. You brought in some other folks to help, reinforcing that Lions help, we help each other. And then that gave some strength to those who were not real happy with how the club was moving to be strong enough and to do the CEP and to actually share their feelings. That's the tool that I couldn't think of the word CEP. That's the tool that I really think is very valuable when you do that that needs assessment with your club, and it is anonymous. It allows people to share their feelings, and then when you have that outside facilitator, that really can help with whatever conflicts. Much easier than if it's direct conversation in the beginning, and then that kind of gives you that place to move forward with change.
Thank you, Lion Kathy. We'll go to John next, and then Lion Becky has her hand raised.
I am a zone chair right now, and I have this situation. It's not my club, not one that's assigned to me. They have informed the cabinet, or did inform the cabinet, that they were considering closing down. I went to their meeting. I told them outright that, frankly, they had served their community for over 75 years, and if they stopped, gave it up, who would do the things that they did? And then I answered my own question: nobody. After talking to them for a while, it became clear that they really were willing to try. At that point, I told them I would work with them, the cabinet would work with them, we would do everything in our power to help them, but they had to do it. We couldn't do it for them. I told them we need time. I needed them to give me a year, and they agreed to do that. During that year, I told them we need to come up with a plan. We need to work on their membership and their fundraising, and I would help them with that, but again, they had to do that. One of their major problems is that nobody wanted to step up for offices. I explained to them that in order for us to save that club, we needed officers for that coming year that they had promised they would give me. And They came up with people for offices. It's a combination.
It really is a combination of all of these things. And there were times when you had to say, okay, you have to do it yourself. But there were other times, you have to do it. But there were other times where you were very supportive and said, I'll help you. The cabinet will help you. All of these people will help you. But you also said, we need some time. Is the year up?
The year of, actually, they gave me a year from this July.
Okay.
So
okay.
I've got my year to do something. And frankly, we're starting with the first thing in about a month. We're going to have a fundraiser membership thing.
Okay. But you did, you did the piece where you planned, you did the piece where you took responsibility, you did some of those behaviors, and you took them back to our Lions mission. If Lions don't do, and I'm just sitting here smiling because it's very true. If Lions don't do what we do in our communities, nobody else is going to do it. And so it's really important that we keep our Lions Clubs alive to meet those needs. I know there's so much need in our communities, and it's very important that we do that. So I applaud you for your efforts. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. This scenario has really resonated with several of the Lions, so we've got a couple of comments in the questions pane after we hear from Becky.
Becky, are you? Okay,
Yep.
go ahead. Okay.
The club in our district, I've been the membership chair twice. We have the same 4 officers. We've also got 3 zone chairs that are helping us, as well as a region chair, and we have a guided lion. My first year as membership, we brought in 3 new members. Since then, we have lost 4 members. This club is down to 12 members. We cannot get a fundraiser off the ground due to the fact there is not enough interest for anybody to do anything. This particular club wants the district to do all the work for them, but yet they want to benefit off of this.
So this is not only a club issue and concern, it's also something at the district level. So
Yes.
This might not be something that just a zone chair can solve. It might be that you're going to have to communicate with your district governor and maybe your first and vice district governors, your leadership chair, your membership chair, because
we have been working with our district governor as well as several different past district governors, and everybody in the district is getting frustrated and wants to walk away from this club and just watch them fold, which unfortunately I think is what's going to happen because this club wants all the help it can get, but yet it doesn't want to do any work to bring in new people or get out into the community to do anything.
and that is a sad scenario, and very realistic. So I guess there comes a time where sometimes you have to say, okay, we've done everything we can, and it's back in your court. And if you choose to move forward, you can. And then it may be that a new club has to be developed, in an area that's near them to continue to provide that service. But at this point, it sounds like you've rallied around this club, and I guess I would hope that you could go back and help them understand what the mission of being a lion is all about, and help them to figure out that they really need to make some changes and do some things differently. A guiding lion might be helpful if you could get a guiding lion assigned.
They have had 3. We tried.
I'm chuckling. Maybe it's time to say, okay, either get involved and solve this or move on. So that's sad, but sometimes you have to make those decisions. Wendy, do you have any other hands held?
Lion Nancy just raised her hand, so are we okay on time?
I have one more scenario, so yeah, we have some time.
Okay. Go ahead, Nancy.
All right. The scenario that the previous person was talking about, I've had that situation where a club has money for years and years and years. They don't fundraise. They just give money out. And I told them, why don't they go to one of the other clubs in the district and help them? And this way they can find why they are Lions again. They've just forgotten why they're Lions. They're so used to meeting for lunch every week and sitting around doing nothing and just saying, all right, we'll write one check out. Tell them to go out with another club. They don't have to do it all together. Once in a while, go out and help one of the other clubs, and they can get inspired again to be Lions.
Well, and that's a possibility as well. Maybe that's each of our clubs has a different personality, and it's important that we respect that personality of those clubs, but also maybe if those clubs do have money, they can be helpful in that way. But just writing a check to help that club, I guess I hope they would at least deliver it before they can do that. So make that connection about what it is to be a Lion.
Thank you, Nancy. Let's see. We had a couple of other comments. Lion Joy shared also perhaps using a guiding lion, or if the club is a little bit older and doesn't have a guiding lion, a lot of districts use a rebuilding type of lion that can come in and help. Lion Leanne shared the similar thing that many of us are facing in our clubs of trying to change those that say we've always done things this way to be more open to change, and the times that they have changed or really seen and made to have new members feel valuable to the Lions Club, and that we need them to feel that they're valuable in our Lions Club and help them feel a part of what's going on rather than ignoring them. So thank you for that, Lion Leanne. Let's see, Lion Dawn shared, going back to some of the training that we had, if those of you that have gone through the Guiding Lions training, is really being a supportive of what the club feels that they need and how to mediate some of the differences and communication issues that may end up being a combination of coaching and supportive styles. And so I think I can speak to what I've noticed in my own area with respect to guiding lions. It's one thing to have gone through the training, it's another to actually implement and be good quality guiding lions, and that takes a special type of lion to be able to do that. Lion Ajit, the last comment we have on this, has shared that one of the things the leader can do is talk to the members of the club and really try to find out what their concerns are, and then those concerns would perhaps dictate different styles of leadership that may be required.
And that's recognizing, I think all of these comments are recognizing that each club is very different. And I would agree with you, going through the guiding lion training and being a guiding lion are very different. And to facilitate, you need to facilitate that movement forward. And that sometimes, as the leader, you can see the solution and see what they need to do, but they really have to take ownership to that and that to move forward. I have one more scenario to share with you this evening, and so I'll do that right now. And I do want to thank you for sharing your ideas. This is very helpful. You are the incoming district governor. In the last couple of years, your district has kind of fallen apart. The cabinet is not functioning well. The district governor and a few Lions close to the district governor are making all the decisions, and little training is being done to prepare for future leaders. So as the incoming district governor, what style of leadership could you use to get your district back on track and facilitate some improvement?
We'll give you a moment and then look for either hands or comments.
And I'll tell you, there's really no right answer or wrong answer to these. Your ideas are all solutions, and they're all plausible solutions, kind of depending on the situation.
Can you put it back on the slide that shows the scenario while folks are thinking of responses? Thank you.
You're welcome. That's one thing I can do.
You got it. The Lion Marina shared, choosing different lions for cabinet positions, looking for those who have vision and enthusiasm rather than those who have just been there and done that, and kind of take for granted to know what it takes to get the easy part done. So getting fresh ideas and fresh perspectives. Thank you, Lion Marina. Lion.
Okay, so
go ahead.
So that suggestion would be, as the incoming district governor, you do have the responsibility of naming your cabinet. And so if there are people on the cabinet that have not been allowing the cabinet to function well, doing a lot of research and work to talk about finding those new people to bring them into the cabinet would be a good idea. You're also are probably going to take a little heat because, these people have been making the decisions, and they're definitely not going to be happy when you move them out of those positions.
Leanne shared, delegating leadership and making everyone feel valuable and important, remembering that two can accomplish more than one can alone.
I would suggest that building those relationships and bringing in that level of trust, no matter what style of leadership you're using, is critical. There are times where even the most supportive of leaders has to be a little more autocratic, and so definitely those are good ideas to be sure that you're thinking about those people involved in your situation.
See, Lion, John shared coaching that you would use a coaching style with some autocratic portions, and Lion Dawn shared two suggestions. One, rebuilding the cabinet from the bottom up, kind of similar to Lion Myrna's suggestion or comment, and then that the leader really needs to act to instill more of a democratic style of leadership and to help increase satisfaction and decrease the frustration of the cabinet members.
I really think that paying attention to people being satisfied is critical. We as volunteers, our paycheck is that smile or that thank you or just a feel good, a warm fuzzy from what we're doing. And if people aren't getting that feeling from what they're doing, then they're not going to want to spend that time volunteering, and that's whether they're on the cabinet or for a fundraiser or for a service project or anything. Anybody else have anything to share?
Let's see, no hands have gone up, but last comment that two comments. Lion Hillary shared that all of the leadership styles will come into play, so again, looking at different ways to use different aspects depending on the particular circumstances, and to better be able to juggle many styles because of the many personalities on the cabinet. And again, going back to what different leaders or different leadership that people need. Lion Gary shared that this one calls for autocratic, but you need to try and move towards a democratic style too. And let's see, Lion Ajit shared to use any leadership as seen fit, provide training at the district and club levels, and hey, thank you for the plug. May ask members to take Lions University courses. So thank you, Lion Ajit.
Yes, jump right. And I really think that that's part of the value of the whole Lions University is giving people some, as I call it, you have more things in your leadership bag of tricks. So when a situation faces you, you have more skills and are better able to make a decision to come up with a solution to be successful because you've increased your skills in your bag. So again, I would agree, yes, as much training as possible is a good thing.
And these scenarios really get you to thinking because, particularly when you get to difficult situations, like some of the these scenarios that you've laid out, I think we tend to probably go towards a style that's more comfortable to us. And so having these different characteristics and styles in our toolbox can help us from more of an awareness and how might I do things differently than what's my natural tendency.
And as a leader, you need to know where you tend to lean, whether it's autocratic or democratic or supportive or whatever, and and make sure that you're not always doing that one just because it's within your own comfort zone. Those of us in leadership positions, all of you who are in leadership positions, you know, sometimes we have to push our own comfort zone as well. I think the last slide is our back to our objectives, and I just want to thank everybody for participating and sharing your ideas. When you have a program like this, it's kind of important to have people give comments back, and so I appreciate that you did that. So hopefully we accomplished our objectives, which were to identify leadership styles, consider when to use such leadership styles, to identify behaviors related to strong leadership, and then apply some of the styles to a given situation. So I thank you for that, and I thank you, Bud, for getting us started, and Wendy for helping us with our tech issues, and I hope that at some point I'll get to meet everybody that was at our webinar today.
Well, thank you, Jema, for the presentation and sharing your thoughts and ideas and experiences with our leadership styles, and there was quite a bit of great information shared, and I really liked the participation from the attendees that either came in and verbally shared information or used the chat line. So we really appreciate that very much. And as we finish up, I'd like to remind Lions that if you have not yet activated your member profile, you can do so by going on the lionsforum.org, members.lionsforum.org website, and go in there and activate your membership. So this is the only way we can actually record and keep track of what courses you've completed in Alliance University. We also have a discussion board that I think let's go back there. There we go. The discussion board, you can go into lionsforum.org, into the forum website, and click on discussion board tab there at the top of the page, and you can scroll down to the particular course of this evening, the leadership styles, and continue your discussion there. There was a great discussion here, and we'll have Jema look at that on occasion to see if there's any other comments being brought forward on the discussion board for the leadership styles seminar tonight. I want to remind you of the two webinars coming up, scheduled in the next couple of weeks, and they do begin at 8 o'clock at night here, or 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. So depending on what time zone you're in, sometimes we have folks come in right as we're wrapping up in the evening because they failed to remember that it started at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. So all of our seminars or webinars do begin at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, so remember that. But next week on Tuesday, March 3rd, we have a bachelor's webinar, Club Finances, number 123. I believe that's an elective course. And the following week, we will have a master's class, another elective course, 232, Meaningful Ceremonies. And you can register those on the Lions University webpage and go right into the calendar page, and you can sign up for those webinars. Also like to remind you to take the quiz. The quiz is online, and that's the link that's shown on your page right there. That is the link for this particular quiz. Or if you want to review some notes that you've taken or material, or want to see this recording over again, or want to take the quiz at another time, just log into the Lions University page, to the master's page, and go to this particular course and scroll down until you get to the quiz. Take the quiz and click on that, and it'll take you right to the quiz. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone for attending this evening. I think we've wrapped it up in our 1 hour's time, and again, thank you to Jema, and thank you, Wendy, for taking control of the questions pane and unmuting everybody so we can get this taken care of rather smoothly. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone again and have a good evening, and we hope to see you in Lions University in the coming weeks.